Okay, welcome everybody to What's New with Microsoft Teams. I'm Russ Basiura. Today I have two fantastic Microsoft MVPs with me, and we're going to talk about all of the individual items that are new or coming up soon with Teams. So just I'll introduce you and guess I'll actually let you guys introduce yourself. So Vesku, sorry. Vesku is a Microsoft MVP from Finland, and he is specifically working with Teams. And what's in Solvana? Is that the company?
Sulava.
Solava.
Sulava.
Solava.
This is becoming a Finnish language course.
Yeah.
It translates as smooth or smoothly. So when you're doing the things smoothly, then you are going things sulavasti. So
fantastic. Anything you want to add?
Well, I worked at Sulava as a modern work principal consultant, and I've been using Teams or working with Teams since it came out, and that's 3.5 plus something years already, and it's been flying very fast all this time, and that's how I eventually got into my MVP status as well, or got the award because of all the information I kept on sharing with Teams. And I have more than 20 plus years of experience in the IT domain. So I started in the mid-90s. That's a long time ago.
Yeah. That's about the same time I started. So you might actually have me beat by a couple years, but it's about we're about the same time frame. So, all right. Well,
Chris is the young one.
Yeah. So Chris is a Microsoft MVP, specializing in Teams also, and I am actually, you guys are just. Chris is from the UK and works for Fusion. And Chris, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I think I've been around a lot less than you guys. I mean, I came into the industry in 2008. My background is in secondary school teaching. I was a geography teacher originally, so not even from an IT background. And I started with DNS servers and Exchange, hosted Exchange. Got into Office 365 back when it was BPOS. I've been in the industry now about 12 years, and in terms of my involvement with Teams, here's a little surprise. I'll throw this one in. I didn't really get started with Teams until about 2 years ago, so not even when it came out from Scope for Business Spaces. So my interest in Teams was largely as an end user when it was implemented within my own business, and I got a taste for it, and I wanted to do more. My background is in migrations and building systems. And so I started getting hands-on with a lot of the administration from Teams. So I'm the relatively newcomer in this one, but as you say, I'm passionate about it, and it's what led me onto the path of MVP.
Okay, well, fantastic. Yeah, I mean, I'm just fortunate to be part of the group, and I'm glad to be talking with you guys today and cover each of it. So I'm going to share out the slides that we have, and we can just kind of talk through these. So we kind of already covered some of the introductions. So the first up is, everybody's been really excited to get more than a 2x2 view. So now we've bumped it up. We've got 3x3, which is fantastic. But yeah, we've got 7x7 coming soon. So, what do you guys think?
You're going to need a big monitor. No, I actually really like the idea of, not because of the 7x7, but ability to kind of cover up a number of people who are in the workshop. For example, it could be 4x4 or 5x5, but then you can have everybody on the screen at the same time. I think that's great, and kind of having, without having all those small images, but having some kind of between images, being able to see the person when they are speaking, and that kind of, because the use of video, I think it's creating more kind of interactivity, and it's kind of next, we are almost there. Like three of us, we are separated by different seas in here, and we can see each other's videos. But unfortunately, viewers can't see, not yet. But that will help us about kind of to communicate better than without using that video.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, if you really want to go back, we're coming from emails, and I remember a company that I worked for. It was a large pharmaceutical company that has offices in both the UK and like Amsterdam and all. And you'd send an email over, and something different would come back. It was always, I used to say, we're two countries separated by a common language, and because it's just different perspectives on it. And this has helped so much in terms of being able to collaborate with people around the world, having the capability to come together and do a video conference. It's pretty close to the next best thing to being there for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people inside the tech community that have been asking for this feature for a long time. Since I've been part of the tech community, which is almost, I'd say just over 18 months now, there were tickets going back there asking for this functionality. And I think the thing which really kind of tipped it over the edge when we got into the COVID period was edu situations in education, where the teachers needed to be able to see all of the students within their classes, but also as well, it was a Zoom compete situation as well. I mean, in the COVID period, it's not just Teams, but Zoom, which has kind of exploded, and they've had this functionality, and people have had to decide what to choose, and this has been a competitive advantage of Zoom for some time. So getting this parity together is going to be a really good thing. It's going to be a tick in the box and make that decision to go to Teams easier. It's like you said, Russ, it's that close collaboration is second to only being there. But in that classroom situation, it's really, really important to be able to keep people on track. But I've heard a lot of use cases from commercial as well. So CEOs and CIOs wanting to see all of their teams, particularly when they have larger teams. This is going to be a really good thing for them.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be huge, and it's something that's can't wait to get it in there. So, okay, so let's. Anything else that you can think of regarding the 3x3 or 7x7 before we go on?
I got one thing, and that's just the kind of caveat that with 7x7. It's expected to work like 3x3 does now. So the more incoming video streams that you have, the more you're going to have to start thinking about bandwidth, because the Teams client may not show 7x7 because in the background it actually works out via logic. It does the calculations of your bandwidth in the background. So in case you're not seeing this when it first rolls out, it could be because you kind of lack the bandwidth in order to be able to have those 49 incoming videos up in the gallery view. So it's just, we've seen it from people going from 2x2 to 3x3. They're saying, well, hey, why am I still seeing 2x2? And it's because they're in kind of remote locations or contested in terms of bandwidth. So that's just something to kind of bear in mind going forward.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think not everybody is getting this automatically in the first phase. It's coming first as a preview, and you have to kind of check it in the settings in your Teams client when you have the possibility to start using that. So I think the preview is coming this summer even. And then after that, you are going to get that functionality later. Do I recall it right, Chris? Because I think lots of things, something about the roadmap or things have been changing around this a lot. And it was the case of the multi-window meeting as well. I guess these are more or less tied together.
Yeah, the message center kind of posted out that pop-out meetings and 7x7 are rolling out kind of in tandem at the same time. So that is something to be aware of, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so
All right.
Next one we have is the templates, which I know everybody that at least has come from a SharePoint world. I know everybody's been waiting for this. So, just it is on the roadmap for August 2020, but I know, guys, before we got on the call, we were talking a little bit about that roadmap, and the roadmap is, I guess, should be loosely interpreted in terms of the specific dates. Microsoft's trying to paint a picture with that going forward as to when different things will be available. And I know we were expecting to have a lot of stuff available in our tenants for our session today that is not there yet. So, this, I'm hoping that they're going to stick with. I've seen two different things with it. I've seen August 2020, which is what's on the roadmap, and I've seen Q3 being more general around it.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I think that the Microsoft 365 roadmap has to, it's something that's fluid and is almost kind of living and evolving. I think that some people can get quite passionate, shall we say, when things miss their dates. But if you've been an administrator with Microsoft 365 or a consultant or an architect and you've been following this for a long time, then I think you kind of become accustomed to it and your expectations change slightly. Some things come in, I've seen some things come in early, I've seen some things come in late. I think the important thing is not to take the dates too literally, and when they do shift, I think that we have to, yes, of course, there's an accountability by Microsoft to try and get it as accurately as possible, but there are so many contesting things going on in the background. If you look at the cadence of Teams the last year, there's been so many feature adds, and they're all contesting to able to come into production. So I think that there has to be a little leeway with these things. I can understand when people get frustrated, absolutely, when 3x3 is a good one. That got previewed a year before it actually got released into Teams. That got previewed at Enterprise Connect 2019, and I remember.
And we are not mentioning the private channels.
Oh, yeah,
right.
It got pushed back repeatedly. But if we look at the deliverables from Ignite last year, then if you were to go back and look at the book of news, then pretty much everything was delivered that they announced within roughly about 6 months. And of course, Microsoft themselves have had to go through a massive digital transformation in the COVID period, with people changing from working out of offices to home. So I can understand both sides of the view. Where I personally lay is, I'm kind of quite laid back by it. They've said it's coming. I know it's coming. I think otherwise I'd try not to get too wound up. I don't know about you, Vesa.
Yeah, it's kind of their best guess of the date when they can start rolling out, or the month. It's not an exact date. I guess it's about the period of some weeks. And if they are happy with that, they can stamp it. Okay, it's done, and then they start thinking about the rollout and start bringing it to us, to end users. But the thing is, of course, that the end of June is interesting, because it's the end of Microsoft fiscal year, and they have lots of pressure to bring these features out. And if something is slipping to July, I guess there's always a good reason. I'd rather take a working feature rather than something that's just been rolled out because it's the end of June, in that sense. Right. Just it's kind of the idea. It's I think the date is something. Okay, this is our best guess at the moment when we could start rolling it out.
Yeah, So, I mean, there's a lot of great functionality coming with the teams. So, or coming with templates. As I understand it, you're going to be able to create your own templates, save your own templates. You're going to be able to create a new template from an existing template. There's just a lot of functionality that you're going to be able to add in. So once you go through the process of creating a site, you're going to basically be able to use that, save that as a template. So if you have like a sales group and you're in a global organization, you have one area that creates that template, you can then save that as a template so that all the other areas can leverage that same template. But so in my experience, so I haven't worked with the actual templates. I did go through and use the site copy essentially. And when you copy a team, it disconnects all of the tabs and it brings in your channels. I'm missing something. It disconnects the tabs and
it creates kind of stubs for them. So you can, for example, if you have OneNote in the source team, you can create a new OneNote in that team. And I would, because in templates you can configure the tabs and you can configure the applications, you can configure the channels. I think it's going to be a quite similar experience. That's my guess.
Okay, that's what I was going to say is do you think with the templates, is it going to be the same thing that they're going to come in as disconnected, or are they going to continue to maintain their configuration settings?
Well, they have configuration settings already in copy team functionality. You can copy a lot of things, but in templates, it would actually make even more sense that they are not creating copies, they are creating that structure in there. And then when you go to that channel, okay, this is where our OneNote is supposed to be, then please create that OneNote in here. So you have that kind of a basic structure in there. I've been playing around with so-called templates or the manual ones during the provisioning a lot with the Graph API and trying to seeing what you can do in there in the behind the scenes and what you can't do. But I think templates is just a great way to bring into organizations a better overview. Okay, these are the kind of teams we want to help you create. These are kind of our examples. This is how our project teams look like, for example. And you can see, okay, these are the essential elements that should be there. So they give a kickstart for the people, because it's always usually more easier to work with the existing one, unless you're a champion like we are with Chris, that we want just the bare minimum and we can start building on that. But when you are doing, because that's usually what I say, okay, when you create a template, don't try to create kind of put everything there that you think those people are going to need, because then they don't have any room for creativity. Just put the essential stuff there. This is going to make it a bit easier, I think. And this is going to be more organized, more kind of controlled, and it looks a lot better in the user interface than copy team currently does.
Just to just to add on that piece about templates. I mean, templates have been around for some time, particularly with third-party solutions. So just to mention one, which is Sales Team. They have done this for some time in terms of templates connecting into the team's environment. So the fact that they're coming around natively now, I think that this doesn't look too different from that third-party products. But I think that there is another kind of conversation to have as to whether you want centralized IT or you want your users to be able to create those teams, because I can completely understand where templates is coming from a governance standpoint, from a standardization, but also as well, it is as much as who creates them as to what you create. You know, there's always a trade-off. Yes, of course, you get a lot of organizations that will jump at templates because they don't just want to create teams carte blanche or get in the problems of team sprawl. But on the other hand, you do have a lot of organizations that want to just centrally control that with a small number of people. So it's very well known that today you can put the creation process within a few people's hands by disabling the ability to be able to create a team. But I think the great thing about templates is not necessarily about the who, but how fast you can get teams up and running. If you just want to be able to one click or create that template through the Graph API, I think that's where you're going to see its big advantage.
Sounds good. All right,
Yeah.
so our next.
Yeah, we are waiting to get our hands to the templates so we can see what you can really do them and how you can customize that stuff. But yeah, let's go on.
So the next one is an item that is there today, the attendee reports. That's new functionality that was released recently. And, you know, it's something, as from what I've seen, that only the organizer has access to. The organizer can pull down a list of all the attendees. So if you have a company, then you're running company meetings and you need to track attendance at those meetings, or if you're a school teacher that needs to track attendance for your classrooms, you have that capability now.
You know, this is an awesome ad. Even though you could kind of consider it half finished. The biggest limitation that we've heard from with this is the fact that you have to download the attendee report during the meeting. Something could have changed, like in the last couple of days. I may have missed something, but as far as I know, you can't actually get the attendee report after. Now, Microsoft have been really, really transparent about this and said this is a kind of a working version 1. So kind of in a similar way that when they released background effects, you could not upload a custom background. You'd have to upload it on the machine as opposed to through Teams. This is a bit like a version 1. Okay. So I've used this several times so far. Well, more than that, I use it in particularly in most meetings that I'm in. Because I'm an MCT, I have to teach people, so it's really good for that. I just think it's a really nice ad, but it just needs to be matured. I mean, that's my kind of personal opinion on this one. I don't know what you think, guys.
I mean, I can say I'm a little surprised at that because that functionality is there in the Teams Live event to download the attendee reports, and that's something that you can basically do at any point in time. So I'd be interested in knowing why, you know, Microsoft felt the need to set that up so that you had to download it during the meeting. You know, well, it'd be interesting to understand their logic around that. I don't understand that. So
I think that that's a big difference between live events and Teams meetings, because Teams meetings are run. I don't remember all the specifics, but basically live events is run through the Azure, and it goes through the end users. They are going through different layers, because with live events you can have over that 20,000 people attending at the moment. That we could have a huge audience right now.
Sure.
And on the other hand, Teams meeting is different. Yeah, why it wasn't built there, I have no idea, but I'm really happy that they came out quickly with at least some solution, because there's huge need for that. And a little button left to that with a little X and the check mark, that's the meeting options. You can now change during the meeting, but that's only what is the link about? Or what is it about? It's just a link. It will open a browser to change those meeting settings. So it's not perfect one, but it's available. You can do the change. You can change the lobby settings during the meeting, for example, or who can present. And that's really something people need. And it's fixed, like Chris said, it's a first version. It's kind of something to get started with, and then they will get it better. Why it wasn't there, but yeah. But I'd say while they look a bit similar, having the meetings or live events, there's lots of differences between the tech behind it.
I think with this, they have been in a compete situation again with Zoom, and you know, you want to move from a posture of the other party having something to you having nothing, to you even having something that was half there. So this is a kind of an incremental move forward, and again we've seen this with background effects, we're seeing this with attendee reports, we're seeing this with certain meeting options that are coming in, that things are kind of almost appearing as part of the way there, I think. And yes, I can see it from a perspective in that it's not finished. Some people want to see everything finished. They'd want to see you have the ability to download throughout the meeting, after the meeting. They'd want to see it much more kind of clean. The other downside to this is that it downloads to your local machine as opposed to downloading into OneDrive or some other place inside Microsoft 365. So I get that, but I think that what is kind of the flip side of that conversation is that they're making some incremental progress on this, and they're kind of committing, they're bringing these things out, and it's made such a difference, even something I guess half baked. So I'm really pro on this feature, and I look forward to seeing what's happening in version 2.
Yeah, exactly. Because the thing is that this really tells how Teams product group is advancing things. If there's urgent needs on something, they can kind of work on that, and we can have these features quickly, much faster than before. But there's usually the downside that, okay, they are doing the minimum viable product there just to kind of match the need.
Yeah, that's great. So our next is, tasks in Teams.
Oh yeah. Who's looking forward for this?
Yeah,
Raise of hand. Yes, we all.
This, if I remember, this was announced at Ignite 2019. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the last things to kind of be delivered from that Ignite 2019 announcement. And I mean, a lot's been made of it. You can see the promo videos of tasks online. If you go on YouTube and just put in tasks in Teams, there's a nice little 2 to 3 minute video, and it's bringing together To Do and Planner and to unify the task experience. I kind of feel two ways about this. I don't know about you guys. I mean, I think it's gonna be really good for people. Whether it's good for me in particular, I'm one of these people that doesn't use tasks a lot in my applications. I never did within Outlook. I have never use Planner in massive kind of ways. I'm just somebody that just isn't kind of make notes of my tasks. I know you are, Vesku, particularly in the areas of To Do, but I think this is going to be a great application. The fact that they're bringing it all together so that it's not kind of everywhere, like in To Do or to Planner. So I think this is going to be really, really successful, despite the fact that I'm really lame in task making for myself.
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you, and I am a big task person also, and I had spent a lot of time putting tasks in like Notepad, which is a nightmare to track in Notepad, and To Do is it's sweet to be able to put it in there and just have a list that I can go to real quick. Okay, am I getting done the things, and being able to manage what I need to work on today so that I'm focused on that, versus having an overall task list of things that, or something that, I just need to remember to take care of. So I'm a big fan of To Do, and even more that, now that have the capability to bring that into Teams, into a central location I'm really excited about it. How about Outlook tasks? Have you heard anything about them coming in?
Outlook tasks. We don't have to, because they are To Do tasks.
Okay.
Yeah, so they are exactly, if you, the Outlook doesn't have a separate task anymore. It was renamed as To Do. Well, so there isn't any separate part for that.
Is that for on-prem also, or is that just for the, for Microsoft 365 it is?
Sorry, I left my fax machine on the 90s. Talk about on-premise. Okay, so
see, I told you I was older than you.
Yeah, no, I haven't been playing around with the on-premise lately for several years, so I can't really answer that. But the thing is that, yeah, if you're using the Exchange Online, they are to-do tasks now. So if you are creating a task in Outlook, you are creating efficiently, it's a to-do. And what I really love about this new tasks, there's one thing that's really big is that you don't need the planner application in your mobile anymore after this. You are seeing the tasks right within Teams, and you are kind of you don't have to leave Teams to see all kind. Well, you had the planner application in Teams before, but it wasn't that well working, and I really enjoy what they have done to this UI. How does it look? How you can get to see all the tasks that has to be done, and combined with the also announced feature, the task publishing part, where you can recreate the kind of task lists and publish them to your teams, and to see how those teams are progressing those tasks. That's a huge thing. And okay, interesting. I'm getting live event saying I'm speaking too quietly. I hope you are still hearing me.
Yeah.
Okay, so you are just the live event who's having a hard time on hearing things. But the thing is that bringing all that kind of those features into Teams, having the tasks going through all the teams, managing that, having the to-do part there, that's really powerful. You can do things within one application through Teams. That's the kind of Teams platform thing that I'm really.
I agree with what you said there, Vesa. I think a lot of this is we're seeing a centralization of functions across Microsoft 365. I mean, you've probably seen the news about lists. I think tasks is going to be very similar to lists, or very similar to what they're doing in security by bringing DLP or retention into the security center, so that it goes across all the applications rather than the individual applications duplicating what they're doing or having similar functions. So I think it's going to be massive for people. I think you guys are, just two examples. And like I say, although I don't use it personally, I can appreciate how it's going to be very good for a lot of people. So that one's going to be a surefire winner.
Yeah, I just hope they include the ding in the task.
Yeah. Maybe
awesome.
Maybe I should start using it. I mean, Veska's always chasing me for stuff to do with Teams Fest and that. So maybe I need to start using it to get my acting gear a little bit.
All right, so Teams for personal life. I mean, this seems like a huge plus with Teams now, being able to, give somebody that capability for managing their own personal information and communicating with their family. I personally haven't been able to get it going yet. I haven't had a chance to test it out. Have you guys done anything with this yet?
Well, I tried to activate on my demo phone today, but it wasn't there yet. So the June 2020 is kind of, it's not available for everyone. I saw some tweets that it should be out, but I guess it's rolling out to different regions or different accounts in different times. So you should be able to start previewing that. But I didn't get it up and running there. But from the announcement, it looks really good. Like, I really like that dashboard view they are showing there. Having the ability to have people, places in the map, having the pictures there, and the files, some things that you don't have in WhatsApp, for example, at the moment, because it's just for chat, just like for Skype or Slack or whatever. You don't have all the stuff that is around that's making Teams the kind of a very neat tool about that.
Right.
And of course, the calendar part is something very important as well, to have a kind of to join the calendar where you can start putting the events so you know what's happening. But of course, it requires that the teams should tenant switch faster, I guess, because it needs to be quick. If you are having the same application and you are moving between work tenants and the personal stuff.
Yeah, especially if you've got teenagers using it.
Yeah, I mean,
you ever see how fast their fingers go?
I mean, I mean, you guys are right. I mean, for a long time, Vesku and myself were using Kaisala in terms for a chat app, and it's. I mean, Kaisala is very similar to WhatsApp and Microsoft's kind of version of WhatsApp, and it's very, very fast. And you get these successful kind of applications because they're very fast and they do what people want. So it's going to be interesting to kind of see the metrics. I'm really, really interested to see the utilization rates when this comes out at Inspire in the period, or at Ignite, about how many have actually adopted this, because it is a really big thing. I mean, I don't personally know if this is supposed to be a competition for WhatsApp, but I think that's what a lot of people are going to kind of see it as, or they're going to try and pigeonhole it. So it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, I agree with Vesco. I think it's got a lot of potential in terms of, we were just talking about tasks, about the calendar, and of course about the chat, but I mean, this is rolling out to Office 365 Family, or Personal Edition, right? So it will be for people kind of in there, but I'll be interested to see how fast this picks up.
Yeah, and what it can do, of course, if somebody is only needing the chat, are they going to use that? But then, for example, in the friends, hobby clubs, groups, whatever, in those scenarios, there's going to be more and more reason to have something like Teams there, because you are needing something else than just chat.
Yeah, but also as well as pricing away kind of in people's personal circles from the apps that they've always used, and we come and see it time and time again. You know, will you use Teams for personal life? And people, you know, it's kind of like other personal apps from Microsoft. Like why Kaisala, you could have a personal edition of it. Why didn't people use it? Because you couldn't communicate with people on WhatsApp, because you know your friends had more friends on WhatsApp. So whether it will end up kind of this, you know, how well it goes down and how many people it kind of dislodges, I think two of the key points. One is what Vescu said in terms of how quick it is, and the second is you know, can it really reach what people want to do, which is going to make their kind of own personal networks begin to use it. So I guess time's going to tell on that one.
All right, so the next one is the channel information pane that is coming now.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet. But have you, Chris, seen it yet in any tenant? I guess it's going to be July, so.
I've seen it. The channel information pane. The one, because I'm looking at it for the first time up the top. The one that I think is going to go down a storm is the pinned posts.
Oh yeah.
I think that one's going to be massive. I'm going to talk about that one before I talk about the channel information. I mean, the pinned post has so many uses. Again, this is another thing from the tech community that's been asked for a long period of time. And today we can pin channels, we can pin files in the file tab, we can pin apps to the app rail. But people wanted the ability to, you know, there's two things, the big things that people want to do in Teams in conversations, right? They want to pin posts and they want to have threaded conversations. And pin posts is going to be a big tick in the box, because you want to put information right up the top, or you know, when you first go into a post tab in a channel, because you know, what about the rules of the conversation? What about etiquette reminders? What about information in the general channel to note about what all of the channels are about? You can finally begin to do that in a pinned post. So it's really like a signposting until Microsoft bring in the ability to take the default off of the posts. Then this is going to kind of double up in value, because it's going to be explaining what the rest of that channel is all about. So I'm a massive advocate of pinned posts. I've voted on the user voice. I've been really vocal about it in AMAs.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to create a huge impact, because if you think about the news, if you have used Teams as your kind of so-called intranet, you have the news there, news posts, and when people start replying those, if you don't have the moderation on, those news will get lost. So that's one thing. Okay, these are the important articles you have to remember. These are the project information you need to remember, and you can find them directly in that channel. So it's really a powerful feature, and I'm really waiting for that, because it's also adding up a lot for Teams as a kind of a corporate social media tool, because those kind of little features that are the things that like make things even better.
Yeah, I mean, you have a channel, you have a team member that wants to ask a question. Right up at the top, you've got pinned with who they're supposed to contact and their contact address right in there. Or you know, I'm thinking of other use scenarios, such as an orientation of that channel, or what the business purpose is, or, as said before, etiquette and rules and guidelines for posting. All these things can get resolved. So in a sense, I would put the ability to pin posts also in with channel moderation, in terms of being able to moderate the content that goes in.
You see any type of performance issues with this coming, with the, you know, as the number of posts that are pinned inside of a channel scales?
I'm not aware of any limits. Is it like one pin per channel? Is it so many pinned in so many channels? I guess you would have to take the yeah. I'm not kind of aware of any limits. Vesco, are you aware of any limits as far as
no, I have no, I'm not, because there hasn't been much information out of this. So what we have is more or less the roadmap item telling that we can pin in post messages there. But I don't think that should be any performance issue, because it's something about the UI. It's going to go to the channel information pane where you can put it. So I don't really see any reason, at least now, why there should be any issues with that.
The only one kind of like, if there is a downside, just to kind of play devil's advocate here, is it adds up on top of the manageability kind of tasks of teams. If, for example, you're an owner of a team and you put something up and you know, and you want to change that, how often are you going to have to change that? Are you going to, because we see it on Twitter accounts all the time, where somebody's pinned a post up and it goes back for, you know, 24 months ago, or then they've still left it up there, some kind of past glory or something. That so is it going to keep things like kind of up to date? Is it going to add to people's day-to-day tasks? I mean, again, time's going to tell, but overall, in the grand scheme of things, we haven't got anything. People, you know, get added to teams and go into channels blind. So pinning could be quite valuable.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a big help also. All right, so our next area is the Power Automate message triggers. And I know, Vescu, we were talking about the Power Automate and being able to show some of the, you know, what you can do today versus what you can do with this. Now, from a time frame perspective, Do you have a sense for what we're looking at with this? I mean, I think I saw it was Q3 on the roadmap.
I think it must have then changed. I think it was mentioned for June, so it should be coming out really soon. But usually when it's June, July, I might just say summer 2020,
right.
but it should be coming out soonish. I haven't seen that yet, so I don't know how to build one. But what it is supposed to be is that you can create actions based on single message. So you can go to teams like where you have create a new poly out of the message or do something else based on the single message. That's kind of the thing that's going to be really, really powerful with Power Automate and triggering something based on that single message and doing something like put it to your to-do. That's something Chris should build. And
so
to have things memorized, like pushing things there and doing whatever. There's endless possibilities with that as well.
Okay. So from a business application perspective, you're thinking like, so somebody's going to get a Teams message that would have like an approval button in it for them to basically approve something, as an example?
Yeah. As an example, or send it to the backend system for further processing, or go through the approval process and then send it to the backend process. Okay, this is an order. Should we create an order information? Are we asking for more information from the guys behind the scenes? And then we send it there and get it processed.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah. I mean, at this moment in time, I mean, there isn't a great deal of Teams triggers with inside Power Automate today. Today, I think I can only think of maybe 4 or 5. One of them is when you get added to a team. Another one of them is, I think it's when you create a shift. They've added some shift ones in there. So I think Vesku is probably more experienced with me when it comes to Power Automate, because a lot of his blogs involve kind of Power Automate. There's really powerful possibilities to happen.
Oh,
the more that they can do and not only link up teams, but other applications such as SharePoint and OneDrive, but link those other applications together underneath Teams, then it's really important. One of the oh, here I am. Do you know what?
I have to do this.
We all do demo accounts with each other as the people. So we all like wipe out Megan Bowen and all of those guys in the demo accounts, and we put each other in there just for a laugh. And if you ever come to see us at any kind of speaking, we always demo each other in our accounts. But Vesku did a great one, so that when somebody was added to a team, here we go. When somebody was added to a team, it brings up a welcome message. And I've used that for demo purposes myself, and I've attributed it to Vesku. I can't begin to tell you how much time that saved for people. So every time somebody's added, it comes up with a notification and says what the channels are about, and it helps welcome people to the team. It helps to get them involved. You can have all your orientation in there. It's just such a big time saver.
Exactly. That was I was supposed to show as a demo here just once my flow begins. Okay, now it's there. So it's just showing you, okay, welcome our new team member. So everybody knows who's that person, and there's this kind of information. And of course, when you have a pinned messages, you don't have to do this, but you can do something else with this as well. You can have this send a personal message to that person as well, and so it can welcome you there. So not everybody has to get that same message. But hey, now since I'm getting a chat message directly there, I can perhaps know something more, and you can ask questions, and you can create actions based on this if you want to. So having something like that, because this is something new that's with Power Automate. You can kind of give options to users to choose one, and then create things afterwards, like that one, for example. And how it's happening, okay, let's go and kill the waiting demo part. But it's really effective and easy to create this. This is one of the triggers Chris mentioned, but there's this action like post a choice of options as a flowbot to the user. And you just add here the options, and whatever you do with them is up to you. I just post a message here, but I get the selected option. I can go from there. Do you agree? For example, hey, I want to sign up for the next meeting. Why don't we just create a meeting and or add you there? Because we know already who that person is, for example. I have a few demos here. Let's see if we have time, or unless you cut me off or not. But the other one, you also, it's funny that you, Chris, mentioned the shifts as well. Because we know the most recently during the COVID, the shifts has been used in the back to the office situation as well. When you could have that kind of a, okay, let's see why the shift is that empty. Let's reload and see if it works a bit better. Basically is that you have a limited space at the office, and you would probably want people to book up the space there. So you have some kind of system, and shifts is one way that you could be doing that. But the issue is usually that all the request has to be approved separately. And with any demo luck with me, it's going to load or not. And we will see if I can just using Chris identity here to see if I can kind of book myself to this place. No, that's fun. Interesting.
So I don't do tasks, and obviously I don't do.
Okay, I was in the wrong week. Nobody told me that. All right, let's go and request build duty. Of course, we love this stuff. We did that at Ignite, and so requesting for there, and I can see my requests that there's a kind of a request coming up. But this could be space in the office as well. And we are still pending for the approval, and I have the other work flow in there, just doing the approval part. Just going to give it a few moments of time. As you can see, everything is really fast, and the name already gives the way. What's it going to be? Basically, automatically approving shifts. So this is something you can do with the latest shifts additions to the Power Automate. You can list the requests. And if you go them through, you can have actions like approving the OpenShift request. Or I can just to show what's available for shifts is that there are different actions, like I can approve the shift requests or something else, declining stuff, getting the details, getting all that information right through the Power Automate. But triggers not that much because the shifts can't really initiate anything, but you have to, when you poll them, you can go through things, and let's see, now it's already been running, it was automatically approved. So Chris is now going there. So you can create this one, and if you want to create to delete, it's possible as well. But of course, what Chris really wants, you really love this, that I'm using you as an example, it's a day off. Let's say it should be Friday, sick day, I have a broken leg or something like that. Not that serious.
Don't wish anything on him.
Yeah.
And there's a pending for approval. And now what should be happening is that I have the list of all time of requests here in the same flow, going through them all, getting that list, getting Chris information, get my manager, my own information, and then I'm going to send a message to my user about, okay, should we approve this or not? Right in Teams. This could go to the team itself as well. But then depending on the approval, I can go there and approve or decline it. I could do that basically in a Teams chat. Okay, now it's there. I'm getting the information that I have the possibility to decline or no, or approve Chris time off. and I really like it when things are slow to demo, but okay, here it is. Broken leg reason. No. Sorry, no time off for that reason. No. When I was building this demo, I didn't have the approval part. It was just automatically declined. To have this kind of a, but the thing is that you can interact with shifts. I guess that's the thing, something that's new in Teams in the Power Automate part. And I really enjoy having this kind of examples. Some other example I had, do I still have time or not? I don't know. We mentioned the to-do part. Is that okay? We may not have too much time, but I could write here like I'm now working as a Chris. Hey, I can mention myself. Does this work? Whatever my question would be, I have that trigger if I'm being mentioned in the channel. I could be a manager in some place. If something is, I may have too many mentions. So I have to keep track of some things. If I'm being mentioned in sales channel, in HR channel, somewhere that I have to do something else about that, because there's this issue that everybody's mentioning me and things get lost. I hear this a lot from people. They just can't manage that basically the overall system yet. And I guess I just have to go there and give it a healthy kick to get it started. We have a couple of minutes, but basically the name gives it away again. I can go ahead and, okay, that was 2 hours ago. The problem with the demoing flow is that you can never say when it's really up and running, but I can just give it a healthy boost with that. And I should be getting that really soon here, is to have kind of the message that, okay, I have been mentioned. Okay, I know it from there, but again, what I'm doing now is that, do you want to keep this task in to do? What I did, I already added it automatically to my to do. I have the link to that message where I was mentioned to this does this work part, and okay, I can go to that message, and now it's here in my to do, so I can remember to do something about that. But if I say no, again, I can say no time for this, and I can kind of create it so that it will mark that task done. So I don't have to really worry about it in here. Okay, it takes a while. It's not instantaneous, so most likely we don't have that much time. But it's already saying that, hey, Chris, don't mention me unless you really mean it. No time for that.
You can see the noise box, can't you?
Yeah, but the thing is that this is stuff that you can, this is just an example, but you can extend this to different business processes. This is just for fun. But the thing is that bring it to create your own tasks. If you're being mentioned, you have to build this per channel. So it's not like if I'm mentioned somewhere, I'm going to get this. And when the message action comes out, I really wait for that, because this should be that more actions added to my to-do. It's way simpler. But with something like this, you could automate important channels and you can stay up to date. Or it could go to the team planner. It could go whatever backend system. If some service bot it mentioned, hey, please take care of this. Something like that. To a few quick demos. So I guess it's back to your screen, Russ.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, let me get back here. All right. So I just, before we even go on to this, I just want to say that's really powerful stuff, and it's great to be able to see examples of that. So great demo, Vesa. I appreciate you taking the time to do that. So our next item on the list is channel analytics, and being able to get users some sense of how much usage is actually occurring at the channel level. Now this is there today, correct? This is already, this was released in June, and
this was released in early May, I think.
In
so
May.
it's almost 2 months. But most of the people don't really know this because it's slightly hidden.
Right, it is. That's a good point. It's not easy to find, is it?
Oh, well, it is if you know what you're looking for. And
right.
For those people in there, okay, let me just share my screen again. And so it's going to be way more easier to show this to you.
Is it under the team? And then
no, it's in the channel, because this is channel analytics.
Oh yeah.
And in each channel, you have this managed channel part. For example, going for the automate all things, managing the channel. And here are the moderation settings. Okay, this is under Chris, but I can go ahead as a normal user. I can go and see the analytics, how much this channel was used, how much engagement it had, and no Flowbot doesn't seem to create anything to this. So it's really about the human interaction. When you are doing the Power Automate posting messages, they don't count. And this is a rather new channel, so you don't have any history in here either. But let's see if I have some better luck with that. Most likely not, because this is a demo environment. But I can see things like summary of a number of users, number of applications, what kind of activity there's. Yeah, none. But so much for good demos. Should use those pre-populated environments more. But the thing is that it's just have to go ahead and look it through here.
This is the type of thing that would work well with a flow. So, for example, if the analytics shows that in the last 90 days that there was like no kind of traffic or no engagement going to that channel at all, you can, for example, set a deletion policy on that channel. I think, or potentially merge it into another channel or archive that channel. I mean, that's the kind of place that you want to drive to. Talking about the last 2 points is again, it's all about governance. It's all about seeing if people are using this, because Teams for quite a long time has I guess before private channels, it was getting quite loud, is about team sprawl. And the same with channels as well. I mean, do you have a team that has 100, 150 channels within it? How do you know which ones are being used or not? And how do you kind of take the burden off the admins to be able to have to go and proactively check that? That's the kind of thing that's ideal for automation. So that's why you can see a lot of things like Teams templates, being able to control who can make teams, being able to control who can create these things, but as well as have analytics to go along, having things like entitlement with how to control guests inside your account, or Office, or should I say Microsoft 365 group expiration policies, so you get past a certain date and then it expires and deletes. Those have come in I would say that the last kind of year, for exactly that reason, that a lot of people's Teams environments were getting out of hand.
Yeah, but I really like the channel analytics there, because it also gives the power for team owners or somebody who or just a member of the team to see if some of those channels are used at all, so they can kind of agree together, okay, we are not going to use that, let's just remove the channel or something like that.
It might be quite a good idea for them in the future to have a compare function, because then they could kind of test it in ways in which you communicate in different channels. So I'd love to see the stats this run for the period of 2 to 3 months, and you get a lot of people within businesses say, oh, I don't like the idea of having a fun channel, for example, but see what the engagement stats are like in that channel compared to one that's set up for purely business purposes. Have a look at ones that use, for example, Giphies against ones that don't. Have a look about ones that use kind of polls or have different kinds of tabs as opposed to others. You can really do some great compares, which might give you insights as to how people actually engage in those different places within your organization.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point.
Yeah, it could be great to have a kind of the most used channel in the company list.
Yeah, I got a feeling none of them would be business oriented.
Not if you make it a competition, no.
Right.
No. Here in the UK, funnily enough, if you go into Power BI and you install the modality application, they pull that data in their third-party apps. So you want to be able to measure kind of what makes something successful within the business, because it goes outside of Teams. I mean, it goes right across Yammer and Stream and really all the collaboration applications to see what's been kind of had a good positive effect within the business. And I think that there's a lot coming out in this period of not just getting people to use Teams, but getting people to use Teams really well. And I'm all for these kind of analytics. I think they're good. A lot of people, as Vesku said, they're kind of hidden, so I don't know a lot of people that check them. But I think that they're good. I just think that the next level for Microsoft would be to allow comparisons to see what are successful channels and what are not so successful, and kind of hold up that mirror to the people managing.
Yeah, it's a kind of something that that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah. So guys, just a time check. It's 12:06 at this point. So I have time. I mean, I can keep going if you want. If you two have anything, we're only about halfway through the list that we have at this stage.
Well, I guess with Teams you always have long lists and stuff. Perhaps that list would make a little more sense to kind of revisit that one in August or in September is going to be busy, but to having kind of a view, okay, what just came out and how we can utilize those, because we saw already that there's going to be very great business points for message actions. There's going to be usage for pin posts and lots of other those to have some experiences and share and kind of how people would start using them, because thing is about the Teams is full of features, but it doesn't mean that you have to use them all in a single team by everyone. Right. It's about knowing which one has the most benefit for your practices and how you start building your teamwork up, and that you are aware about those features. That's why we are doing this. Sharing awareness. Okay, this is something you will be able to do, or you can already do. You can check the channel analytics if you want, but the thing is that you have to adapt them to your needs. That's user or tech adoption.
Should we I tell you what we can do. You said we're about halfway through. What we can do is that we can take the rest of the slides, but we're limited to 20-second responses, me and Vesku on the other thing.
Okay. Well, we can, but to be honest with you, I think that there's only one that's there today at this point that's left, and that's the sensitivity labels. I would suggest for this, let's go through the sensitivity labels and cover that, and the other ones we'll set up a follow-up session as they come out and go through those.
Awesome, that sounds great.
All right, so just make sure I'm switching over here. All right. So the sensitivity labels, yes, that's there it's there currently. And this is the capability to protect your information based on labels that you set up, like confidential or company confidential or top secret. Yeah. Have you guys had much of a chance to play around with this yet?
Yeah, I did it. I did it in preview as soon as the preview came out. I mean, you would have to go and enable it in PowerShell to get it to appear in the Microsoft 365. So I did it right at the start of things. I think sensitivity labels are really important going forward, and so does Microsoft, because they're actually providing the facility to migrate all your Azure information protection labels over to sensitivity labels. This is what's called the unified labeling experience in the security center going forward. And the fact that it can now be applied to Microsoft Teams, when you apply the sensitivity label to Teams, you can essentially block guests accessing that team on a team by team basis. It's not a case anymore of allowing, turning guest access on or off. You can actually state specific teams are not allowed to have guest users within inside those teams. So that's quite a big thing. Another thing that, yeah, it is very huge, and and most people I talk to don't kind of know about that. The other thing is that you can block teams from being accessed from unmanaged devices. So if you're in your corporate environment and you want to keep things as secure as possible, you can only access the team with the sensitivity label from a managed device. Again, that's another big thing. And the cool thing about this is that once you apply the sensitivity labels, you can then go on, and those sensitivity labels then appear when you are creating a team, or if you're a team owner, you can then go back and apply the sensitivity label to the team that you've created previously too. So you're not in trouble. Let's say if you've created 50 teams and then you just go and switch sensitivity labels on, you can go back. And then the experience of it once you have created the team is up in the top right hand corner of the Teams client, where you can normally see the label org is where that sensitivity label actually is. So I think this is an essential functionality. I think if I'm correct, that you do need to have an enterprise plan in order to be able to use it at the moment, but it's like data loss, prevention, or it's like retention labels. The sensitivity labels are, especially if you're in the enterprise, they're 101 security for sure.
So is that E5 then, or is it part of E3?
I haven't looked at that. So
yeah, I would have to double check, but I'm pretty sure it's an E3 plus for sensitivity.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like everything I want to do with security beyond the very basics, it's all E5. That premium license that they have.
Yeah, it's going to bring a lot of value for E5 to have all these features available.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the advanced compliance, that is a massive one. So we're talking about DLP policies for Teams chats and conversations, or you're looking at communications compliance again on Teams chats and conversations. Though those are really big. I mean, if you're having a corporate rollout to even 500 plus users, then they're literally essential for you to be able to manage things effectively. So sensitivity labels, yeah, I mean, they're 101.
Yeah, and they are great. And something to note, I was just having the docs open about the sensitivity labels. That if you have a custom provisioning for a team right now, you can't use them. You can't apply a sensitivity label. So if you have created teams directly through Graph API, PowerShell commands, and templates, so that's a kind of something. Hopefully, that's getting fixed soon. But the thing is that I agree on that the value path with this, because thing is that when the team is marked as sensitive, it's confidential. Everything is happening automatically behind it. You don't have to run scripts anymore if it's a confidential team or something like that to just check that if there's guests or not. So that's a huge step forward in this kind of building this more secure enterprise system.
But it's also, as well as it respects zero trust. with inside the organization. So if you set it to, not have unmanaged devices, it means that you are then probably, if it's managed device, you're using Intune, you've enrolled the device, for example, that it adheres to compliance purposes, it has the apps that you want to have on it, it's probably got the app protection policies in place as well. So sensitivity labels really for you got to think about that data you're putting into Microsoft Teams, and as it's becoming more central to the organization, you're making it a bigger target for the people that want to get to that data. They know your organization's going to be using Teams, so it should feature in that list of functionalities. As said, DLP, retention policies, looking at things like advanced threat protection, for example, through the safe links, or protecting it against the zero malware attacks through file downloads. It should be part of your kind of security play to be thinking about this labeling. So many organizations don't take advantage of this stuff from the stack, and many don't even know that it's there. So if there is speaking things out with Ignite, it could be a possibility. I'll be submitting one on that for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's not even just, under the covers, yes, it's all security, but it's governance. And that's the area that to me seems to be, doesn't get enough attention by companies that are coming on to Teams, that are new to Teams. Way too many of them are just turning it on as a result of, COVID. But this gives you the capability to manage who has access to different teams, and whether an external party or can have guest access into that team. And that's just one of the things that comes up all the time from a governance perspective. When IT is okay, so how do we give our users the right to be able to manage security, but not to the extent of they can expose us to competitors and things like that by giving them access. If you have an employee that's getting ready to leave the company and they give somebody new access to a team that's got confidential information in it, you want to be able to prevent those type of things from happening. And based on what you were saying, Chris, that the capability to block guest access at the team level is there with us.
Yeah, I mean, people have to say that, that it's wrong to say to an organization that guest access has to be on or off. We want to move away from that security by impossibility,
right,
which is just either all or nothing. You want to be able to, and again, this goes into what Vesa was saying in terms of crafting teams to particular purposes based upon a number of factors such as security or what that team actually wants to do. It is really important to have teams that operate singularly inside the organization, and they do not need guest access, and you don't want people trying to add guests to them, because that could be, as you said, Russ, indicative of a breach. So you don't want to have all your corporate data in a team where somebody has got guest access and their account, for example, gets breached and they get in through that way. So, these are considerations. I mean, I think anyone who's serious about kind of security within teams from a consultancy standpoint would be all over these sensitivity labels at this point. And I can recommend, if you look at Petri's got quite a bit of information on it too.
Yeah. Well, it's great information, great things coming, guys. Thank you so much. I guess with that, we can kind of just wrap up and for today. And I'm going to show our LinkedIn's here and your blogs, so that if people have questions for you, they have a way of getting in touch with you guys. And I hope we can do this again and cover the rest of the topics that we didn't get to today.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can tell we like talking about it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's we're all very passionate about it, and I'll get the video cleaned up afterwards, and we'll get it posted out on YouTube so that we can share it with everybody, and you guys can share it out on your blogs, and we'll go from there.
That's awesome.
All right,
Thank
Jess.
you ever so much for having us.
Fantastic. And I appreciate the conversation. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Russ,
Thank
and
you.
thank you, Chris. It was fun.
Thank you, guys.
All right. I'm going to end the event.